show. How will it stay that way? I don't know.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great evening. So, disappointing it's been watching some of the reviews about the Superman trailer over the last 24 hours. Some of our big YouTubers out there are kind of slamming this teaser trailer. They don't like what they see. And I'm not going to call any of their names. If you're a big YouTuber and you're thinking I'm talking about you, yep, I'm talking about you. So I just think it's unbelievable. I thought this was a awesome trailer. It actually exceeded my expectations. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the complaints that I heard. And, where you spend your money, what films you choose to like is totally, I don't have a problem with that. That's totally up to you. People have their likes and dislikes. But I do think there are some nitpicking, and I do think there are some things that I think that we need to discuss and get into a little bit about some of the things I think some people who hate this trailer so far are missing, or maybe some things that they haven't considered. So let's start with one of the first complaints I heard. I think this was the first I heard. Well, Crypto the dog, he was probably the first, but let's start with Superman as Clark Kent, right? So some of the complaints they had about Superman as Clark Kent, or how he's being played in this film, is that one thing they were saying he looks fat. He doesn't look in shape. Of course, Mr. Corn Sweat, he got an amazing shape for the role. But in the character of Clark Kent, he looks fat. They say his hair is frumpy. And they didn't like that. For some reason, they didn't like the aesthetics of Clark Kent. But here's the issue. Here's the problem with not liking the aesthetics of Clark Kent, right? For the longest in Superman mythos, we've had that little gag going where we go, well, it's Superman with glasses on, right? He's just standing there, right? In perfect shape. He looks exactly like Superman, and he just put glasses on. If any of us were to go and just put glasses on, no one would be convinced we aren't who we were the day before, right? And we wouldn't be confused. And so what I felt was so impressive about this version of Clark Kent that I've never seen done in the history of Clark Kent until now was that, yes, his hair does look frumpy. His body build in this particular suit looks, he does maybe look a little bit overweight. But all those things are good things because they only prove that it's more believable that you could believe that Superman's working down at the Daily Planet, right? Because looking at this guy, I will overlook him for Corn Sweat, right? I could think these are two different actors, characters, or what have you, right? Because you throughout life, a lot of people aren't paying a close attention as you think anyway. But to have this going on, yeah, it would move you to, not suspect him. And so this is the first time in any version of Clark Kent that I've have seen Clark Kent so vastly different from Superman in appearance, right? So I would think that's a good thing. That was one complaint. Let's get into the next complaint, which was Crypto, right? Yes, they had an issue with Crypto doing this thing. I was wondering how they were going to do that scene, how Crypto was going to get him back to the Fortress of Solitude. So, well, I thought it was a good idea to put this in a trailer. You got a lot of animal lovers, dog lovers out here. People go crazy when they see the cute dogs and such. And, you know, Crypto is part of the Superman lore and mythology, and a lot of Superman, uh, incarnations have had Crypto in them. I thought the scene was fun. I'm not sure why they're hating on Crypto. Maybe they're hating on Crypto just the idea that it is just too right off the comic book pages, right? It looks and feels very, very comic book. I thought it was a cute scene, um, and I thought it, it just added to the emotional connection. A man and his dog, and I just thought it was great. I think these little things, uh, that you don't tend to think of in a Superman movie. I think these little things are going to actually work to the favor of this movie being a success. So, it's like I was saying in the last video, James Gunn, I wouldn't bet against him. He has a talent unlike I've never seen with these, with these comic book films and movies, right? And so, unfortunately, a lot of the pushback and I think hate for this film is coming from a lot of Zack Snyder fans, right? And I like Zack Snyder. I love a lot of the stuff Zack Snyder does. I think the only issue I had with Zack Snyder is I just didn't feel the Superman world was using his talents the best, right? Even this thing he did with the Rebel Moon series over at Netflix to kind of create his own Star Wars, right? I was digging that. I like that. Some people had a problem with that. I thought it was perfect for Zack Snyder to do that. I hope it comes back, and I hope they do some more of those films, right? I just didn't think the Superman was right for Zack, right? I felt like they should have used his talents elsewhere. So they had a problem with a cute, adorable Crypto here. Now, this dog, I don't even know what breed of dog this is. Crypto generally looks maybe like a Labrador. I'm assuming. This is based on James Gunn dog, who looks like this, but he's not white, right? Crypto in the okay. In some versions, Crypto appears like a golden color, and then in other he is always white, right? And I think it was some animated series where he wasn't even like a Labrador. He appeared to be some type of terrier or something. So yeah, but, that's about all can be said about Crypto. I like the scene. I think it's great for especially for the future of these films because all these little inclusions, these little cute dogs and things like that. Remember, this expands the demographic, right? This is obviously going to be a film you can take everybody in your family to see, no matter what age, right? Uh, maybe PG rating though, because I don't know. It might, yeah, maybe a PG rating, right? Because of the fight and violence. Uh, so what else? What else issues did they have? Okay, the big issue, one of the biggest issues, was the suit itself, the Superman suit. Okay, so this suit, um, I, I, this. Okay, maybe with the suit, I could kind of see, I kind of understand the argument about the suit a great deal more. This is probably the worst Superman suit I've seen. That is true. But what I like about it is I do like these bright colors, right? I like the bright colors. Now, to be fair, one of the most successful Superman franchises was, of course, again the Donner films, the Christopher Reeve movies, and that bright red, cape, bright yellow crest, things right out of the comic books, right? Uh, this isn't as bad as that, but the Christopher Reeve suit, he put a lot of workout routines into that, and the suit fitted him very well, Christopher Reeves. And one big complaint with this suit is that it doesn't fit corset sweat well, and then they got these kind of oversized trunks on the outside. Now they are saying that these trunks will be lost through the film. Uh, I don't. It looks like there's gonna be flashbacks in the. There's gonna be flashbacks. It looks like in this film as well because we get the scene with Jonathan Kent, right, and that's probably gonna take place before Clark becomes Superman and such, right? Before he becomes Superman. So and then I wonder as well. Then is this suit a earlier version of the suit, right? I don't know, but you know, uh, for me, just me personally, I can understand where people are coming from. The haters, people from the fans of Zack Snyder who like that suit better. Um, for me personally, again, it's about the image Superman portrays, right? So that's why one of my favorite Supermans could be Christopher Reeves, and he could wear that bright yellow, blue, red suit, right? And it didn't bother me so much because his character was shining through so much, and the the what I believe Superman embodied, he was able to display that, and so the suit, it doesn't become focused. I know, like in many uh, comic book movies, we people like comic book accurate suits, or they like uh, a very similar aesthetic to what they get in the comic books, or they just like a really cool looking bad suit. Bad meaning good suit, right? Um, and so suits, the costumes is a big deal, right? And so uh, I can understand where they're coming from on that, right? Now, this suit does have the collar thing, and I will point you to something that I thought would have been a good idea to do with the suit. Okay, like a Superman from the animated series, right? And he has that collar, he has that high collar like suit, right? You guys remember some of these Justice League movies with that Superman wearing that type of suit. Um, And so, if you're going to go with something like that, I think that could have worked because we haven't seen a really high collar Superman suit. So it would have been something different. Uh, even like the Man of Steel suit, although it was vastly different than many of the other suits, from the waist down, from the chest up, from the waist up, it was pretty much standard, right? Other than the dark colors, but the suit itself was pretty much like the other suits. Okay, here's a better look. And interesting enough, this looks very similar to the Smallville suit. Uh, I think. But actually, looks like this kind of looks like the corn sweat suit, but it doesn't have the trunks. It doesn't have the red trunks. And then that kind of would his suit have looked better if he had it like this with just the belt going across it without the trunks. And then some people are saying he's going to lose those trunks, it looks like, in the movie. So maybe he is going to uh, look more like this, because this almost looks like a version of that suit. It looks very similar to that suit. Okay, this may have been this looks like this would have been the Smallville suit. I think they did a comic called Smallville year 11, right? It was after the 10 episode season. And you kind of see he has the belt going over it. And this is quite interesting, right? This is the Tyler Hoechlin Superman from Superman and Lois. But you kind of see how it has a similar design to the new Superman, but how it looks so much better with the belt, right? So get rid of the trunks and have the belt. And again, just speculation. I think some are saying they think that's going to happen in this film. But I could kind of understand why some fans would, why they have a problem, with this choice of suit, right, in this film. So I can't say a whole lot about that. But what I can say something about is overall the hate in comparison to the Zack Snyder films. So this is the Snyderverse Superman, right? And this suit on him is fitting because this is the type of version of Superman we got, right? This was a Superman, and again, this is not Henry Cavill's fault. I think Henry Cavill did a great job. I could have easily seen him being more close to the Superman version that many of us were hoping for. But when you're an actor, you're being directed on set, and you're the filmmaker, what he envisions, that's what you're doing, right? And so of course they tried to bring Henry Cavill back, with the I believe the Rock Dwayne Johnson tried to do with the Black Adam film. So here's the thing. To be fair to Warner Brothers, right? We gotta be fair with this, guys. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people were saying they want to see Man of Steel 2, right? But if you really think about it, we did technically get 3 Superman films from Warner Brothers with Henry Cavill, because Superman was still the big main focus on all those movies. In Justice League, he died. It was about him coming back coming back to life. Batman versus Superman, it was about him fighting Doomsday. And of course, Man of Steel was his origin story. I would say Superman was the main character through all those 3 of those movies, and everybody else was a side character, right? So I feel like there was enough opportunity with that version of Superman, right? But now we do have to ask the question: why didn't it work then, right? Did it not make enough money? Why didn't the fans support it like it should? And my guess would be that this Superman, it just didn't, it wasn't a Superman people wanted the most. And of course, Warner Brothers wasn't getting their investment back. And I say all that to say this is, we have to also consider that this is a business, right? For these people to be able to produce these high budget movies, because the next movie they make that's going to be a big movie is going to be about $500 million to make. And before you know it, a movie will be costing $1 billion to make. And you got to make several $1 billion to break even, right, with this thing. So the issue is, guys, that this didn't grab this version of Superman didn't grab a big enough audience, and thus there wasn't enough money brought in, right? Which brings me to my next complaint in the Superman trailer. This big kaiju that a lot of people had a problem with. It kind of like the suit. I can't be too much against the haters on this because this is a weird looking creature. Now, this is again textbook James Gunn. You know, you as you recall, you're probably seeing weird creatures like this in Guardians of the Galaxy. And you know, trust me when I say that when it comes to realistic superhero films or aesthetically how they look and what I want to see, I was the poster boy for saying that these movies are too comic booky, especially over at Marvel. Saying that I wish they were more realistic, right? That I wish they could be like Oscar worthy. It'd be like the first superhero movie that wins an Oscar, that sort of thing, right? That's the time kind of time I was on, the level I was on with it. Now, that all sounds great in theory, but being a much older person in the comic book world, uh, you know, it's just not very realistic to think in terms like that. That you know, these comic book movies need to have such an air of realism and be close to the line on rated R, you know, for them to get made and for them to do well, right? And that's just not what happens because, again, as I had mentioned in earlier videos, the demographic for watching these films is probably going to be like 13 to 24 or 25 or something like that. That's probably where most of the audience is going to come in, right? And who's going to want to see these weird looking creatures and kaiju? It's probably going to be the younger audience. Now, the reason I think was a good idea is because I think because James Gunn is going this route, he's not going to have the same issues as Man of Steel, right? Because he's going to interest also a younger audience. It's going to be just like that Marvel formula thing, right? So this kaiju is fighting some kid, you know, who's gotten his parents to take him to the movies. He's gonna like seeing this, you know, and that's just the way it is. So I understand, you know, people who thought it was crazy to see stuff like this, and it does look crazy. But also keep in mind, right, that one reason I think the Superman character has been so difficult to do is because Superman himself is a very complicated character to put in a scope of realism. Remember, this is a man who's essentially a god flying around the earth and outside the earth. Almost nothing can kill him, right, with a red cape on. And so, what type of world is he going to fit into? Because he's very overpowered, number one. You know, that's another big complaint. And that's why many of us were led to believe James Gunn wanted to start the trailer with Superman in a very, uh, uh, vulnerable state, right? Where he needed help. Had to call Crypto because he's such a overpowered superhero from the jump. So how do you how does he maneuver through a universe and translate that to live action film, right? And yes, Man of Steel did, I think, did a pretty darn good job of that, but I think it just went too far with the realism in the translation, and it disconnected the hope part, right? Whereas again, this is a colorful movie with a lot of hope, right? The last huge complaint they had was just too many characters, right? Um, and so all these characters, you get Mr. Terrific, you get Hawk Girl, you get the Green Lantern and such, and all these people just popping up in a movie that's about Superman. We're trying to understand Superman, Why not just start it, as just a Superman film, right? Although James Gunn does say this can work as a standalone film, Superman standalone film. It doesn't, aside from the heroes, right? Well, I think the problem, guys, is just how many times Superman has been rebooted, right? It has been rebooted a lot. The three Snyderverse films. We had Superman Returns prior to that, and then we had, all of the Christopher Reeve films. And the issue is, with this, of course, is, uh, maybe that part has passed. Maybe, that's been done too many times. They don't want to do that anymore. It's also they want to set up this universe. And, I always was on the camp that you shouldn't rush things like this, that you should, organically do it. But Zack Snyder, I'm sorry, Warner, the DC universe, they have tried so many times, spent so much money that, maybe they just don't think they need to try that again. Maybe they need to move along past that. And I think they're kind of there with it just simply because they've tried it so many times already. Now I like how it's looking with the setup, and if Superman works with all these characters. Um, James Gunn, his formula is to have a bunch of characters on a screen, and he knows how to make them work together. So I'm confident he'll probably be able to do it here. Uh, he's probably one of the only people who can probably pull something like this off, and he might just hit the nail on the head. I'm very optimistic for some reason about James Gunn. I just think James Gunn gets it at this particular time, right? I think he understands the Superman comic books, and maybe that's what the situation is. Maybe people who've tried Superman before, right? Bryan Singer with Superman Returns, which wasn't the worst movie, but it has its issues. So Bryan Singer, um, who was that? Who did the of course, Zack Snyder, and Donner, Richard Donner, did the Christopher Reeve films, right? Um, and so those, films, seem to get it. But and I just kind of missed my point trying to go back memory lane and see who all the directors were. But yeah, maybe it works out for James Gunn putting all these characters on the screen. Oh, I remember my point now. My point was that true comic book directors, I think, got Superman the best, right? And so I'm thinking James Gunn is good with the Superman comic books, and maybe that's going to help him a lot, right? Whereas I felt like Zack Snyder was building a world about an interesting character, a good, a good movie, a good superhero movie, but just not a Superman movie, right? I think he was constructing something like Superman, but not Superman. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. That uh, and where there might be some division between like myself and the Snyder fans, and that is I feel like the Snyder fans may not be Superman purists. Like in other words, I think they don't really care how much Superman is altered, right? As long as he's kind of like the character they want him to be. Whereas I'm more so like Superman's kind of been this centered around this particular type idea, and I'm committed to that idea. And I just don't think Snyder fans are committed to that core idea of what Superman is, right? And what happens is then they start to turn him into another version of Superman, like Brightburn, or you start to get Homelander, right? You start to get these, these kind of perversions of Superman, and I kind of felt like that's what happened here. But yeah, Zach's the master of putting a lot of characters on the screen. You know, these guys who are putting up all this money to do these films, they want to catch up. They want to make money. They know people attention is hard to hold. And, you know, if it took them three or half a decade or a decade to get this Superman up to speed to start this DC, this new DC Universal, you know, over at Warner Brothers, you know, you're looking at another 10, 12 years. And, you know, I guess that's why they had to go in this direction. But that's my thoughts on it. I thought it was good overall still. Those are some of my ideas why I think particularly like the Snyder fans don't like, aren't feeling this, and why they want to see Henry Cavill back and so on. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Tell me all what you think, where you sit with the trailer and the idea of will this be the movie that is going to set everything back right at Warner Brothers? That's gonna. Some people feel it's gonna save Hollywood. We'll see. Can it be done? But guys, don't forget, if you like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's very important to the channel that you do hit that subscribe button. We've been stuck forever, and I never really worried much about subscribers, but we like to see some more now, you know, coming over and joining us, and that way it'll be easier for you guys to listen at some of our latest stuff as it becomes available. But that's all I want to say, guys. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.